Hello everybody, it's me, it's PokemonTripHD. Welcome back to some more Dragalia Lost content. In today's video, I am going to be giving you guys a unit review or a unit analysis on Gala Sarisse just in time for the new Gala. Of course, the new Gala is currently ongoing. The Gala unit is Gala Mim, and I'll actually make a mention of Gala Mim a little bit later on in this video. But for now, let's talk about Gala Sarisse. What this video will include is going to be my analysis on Gala Sarisse, how I think she performs now and in the future, what tier I believe she is, what slot I believe she is best suited for. Also a rundown on her skills and abilities and her stats just in general, and saying how I think those affect her and affect her kit. Also how useful she is in terms of the team compared to verse by herself. And some recommendations for her kit that I think goes well for the current content and probably for the future content to come. So that's what this video will entail. Hope you guys are looking forward to this. Remember, if you disagree with anything I say, let me know in the comment section down below. If there's something you would like to add, something you think I mentioned wrong, again, just let me know in the comment section down below. With that being said, let's begin. So, Gala Sarisse is a Gala unit. Now, what this means is that she's only available during summoning at certain periods, such as during the Gala Dragalia banners. Now, these banners occur once every 2 months, and she is no longer going to be on rate up. She was the very first Gala unit released, and she has not been on rate up since then. Now, there might be a rate up for her eventually, but at the moment, it's very difficult to get her unless you pulled her during her first run around in the Gala. But that's where she stands, so it might be a little tough to get her. But once you get her, how good is she really? Well, let's talk about it. So Gala Sarisse is of course a flame attuned or fire attuned support unit in the bow category. Now, she is a bow user, and you all know how bows are and the stigma around bows. Basically, bows are the worst weapon type in Dragalia Lost. Now, they have been sort of patched and improved to be a little bit better, but they are still not up to par with, say, even the Snap, which is also another ranged attacking type of weapon. So they're not up to par with them. Not to say that they're terrible, they're just not as good as them. And for the most part, staff users are better than bow users. Now, this may just be because of their kits or whatever, we're not really sure, but bows have a hard time just moving around. Well, not necessarily moving around, but they have a hard time getting off their hits while staying far enough and close enough to get all the shots on to the target, as well as their force strikes not being up to par. But that's how bows stand, so just keep that in mind with everything I say. Now, she's flame attuned, meaning that the current endgame content that you will be using her in is high Midgard Stormer. Now, high Midgard Stormer is very, very easy. You can clear high Midgard Stormer with, I think it's been cleared with nearly every single unit except water adventurers. Even water adventurers have cleared it, so it's definitely clearable. You can even clear with 3 adventurers if you have the right setup. So it's very easy end-game content. I say easy in quotes. If you're new to the game, it's of course not going to be easy. You still need the worm prey, you still need the adventures and the dragons, etc., etc. But compared to, say, High Brunhilde, which is currently the hardest end-game content. Now, High Mercury is out, but High Brunhilde is it's a different type of fight than High Mercury, just say the least. But High Brunhilde is the hardest content out right now, and there's certain adventures you need. You need a lance co-ability or a defense co-ability, etc., etc. All this stuff. There's a bunch of things you need to do compared to High Midgard Stormer, which there is not those kinds of requirements. So all you need is, of course, to reach the HP threshold and to reach, get enough DPS in that you can take him out. So it's not super hard to do that with nearly any adventure. So there's no certain adventure you need for that. So I'm going to be talking in this video with High Midgard Stormer in mind, but also be talking about certain challenge battles that are to come. Now, we've seen already in challenge battles that just having one adventure alone can solo the entire challenge battle. So is Gala Sarisse going to be perfect for challenge battles? Well, let's talk about her kit and what it means. So she's also a support unit, which means that, of course, she's morely on the support side rather than the attacking side. With that said, she does have a nice attacking kit with a little bit of support elements into it that really plays into her support part. So let's talk about her stats. Her stat is a max HP of 843. Now, where does this stand in terms of the other units? Well, that is the highest HP in the game currently. Now, 843 is the highest HP in the game. Like I said, rank number 1 in the game. So she has the highest HP in the game, which is just bonkers. Now, of course, for an attacking unit, you would rather have strength than HP, and we all know if you have higher HP, that means you're going to have a little lower strength. Now, our maximum strength is at 485. Where does this rank in terms of other adventurers? This is ranked 37. Quite low, to be honest, but you know, it is what it is. You're getting a lot of HP with not so much strength, which is less than favorable. It's less than ideal. You want more strength than HP, but the HP does help when it comes to High Midgard Stormer and her surviving. Now, she's a ranged unit, like I said, which means that she's going to take more damage from attacks, meaning the opening blast and High Midgard Stormer will be doing more damage to her, which means she's probably going to have to run the High Midgard Stormer print with, you know, another worm print of her choice to survive the fight. She can survive with a maximum binded 4-star dragon with strength, so that is, you know, that's a plus. With her, you know, high HP, she can do that, and with her strength, you know, she can deal DPS damage. Now, in terms of DPS, she's currently ranked number 3 behind Mikoto and Marth when it comes to, you know, just overall dealing damage. Now, that's without placing Gala Mim into consideration, so keep that in mind. Her maximum might for Gala Sarisse is 2,565. Honestly, maximum might doesn't really mean too much, but, you know, might as well just throw that in there. And her co-ability is skill haste 15%, which means she charges her skills and the entire team skills actually by 15% faster, which is really nice. You know, it helps the team out in a little ways. You know, that's just it's an offhand, you know, it's an offhand plus to the team. And with other skill haste stacks, it actually makes quite a bit of difference. Now, that's of course a co-ability, which means it's gonna take into effect on your entire team, and there's nothing you need to do. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be in effect. So that's her main things. That's her main stats. Now let's talk about her actual skills. The two most important things that make an adventurer, their skills. So, well, you can argue abilities, but anyways, let's talk about skills. So the first skill is Brilliant Bolt. This is an attacking skill with an SP cost of 2,803. SP cost means that's how much SP she needs, how much skill points she needs to use that skill. Skill points you gain for just doing normal attacks, and there's certain other ways to gain skill points, but mainly just attacking the enemy is how you get skill points. So 2,803, it's about average in terms of skill ones, about average. That's what the SP cost is. Of course, remember, 15% faster, so it's gonna charge up even faster than what it shows there. But what the skill Brilliant Bolt does is it deals one shot of 949% flame damage to enemies directly ahead and fires extra shots equal to the number of buffs the user has, with 95% flame damage each for a maximum of 7 additional shots. So that might be a little bit of wording there, but let's break it down. So of course, these skills are at maximum level, and the same thing goes with the abilities. These are the maximum upgraded skills that you can have. So this is the strongest set that she could be. Of course, if they're lower level, it's going to be a little bit weaker than this, but this is the maximum level. So first up, it deals one shot of 949% flame damage to enemies directly ahead. You're always going to get that 949% flame damage to your enemy. Always, that's always going to be there. And then the second part is that you deal extra shots of 95% flame damage for a maximum of 7 shots, depending on how many buffs you have on Sarisse, on Gala Sarisse. So however many buffs you have, which, like, you know, like strength up, defense up, crit rate up, etc., you deal an extra hit of 95% damage. So it's honestly, she racks up her additional hits pretty well because of the buffs that she gets on her. Those buffs get on her due to one of her abilities, which we'll talk about later. And remember, the rest of the team can also offer her additional buffs. Healing actually counts as a buff. So if you're running with a Verica and she uses, you know, her first skill, which is regen healing, that counts as a buff. So that also adds on to it, which lets you deal more damage. So you can get a lot of these on. I think the average that you get on is about 4. I would say 4. That's about average. You know, you really don't get more than 4. I mean, I guess average is 3, but you really don't get more than 4 too often, unless you're just, you know, just hitting them, which you'll see with the ability later on. So 4 is the average you'll get. So you can expect an extra 400% pretty much. It's a little less than that, but about 400% damage on to whatever that 950% is, pretty much 950%. So let's just say it's an extra 300% instead of that, because 400, you know, like I said, it's usually what it's at, but let's just add extra 300%. So 1200% damage is actually very good for a skill with, you know, SP cost of 2800. It's actually a very good skill. And it could be even more damage. Now, it could be less, which makes it a little bit but it could be even more damage, which is very, very nice. Now, let's talk about the other skill, Cheerful Assist. This SP cost is 8,534. So the other one was 2,800, and this one is 8,500, which is a lot. Now, even in terms of second skills, that is very slow. I think the average for skill 2s is about, I think it's 5,000, maybe somewhere around there. It's around there. Around 5,000 is the average. So this is well above the average, almost double the average. So it takes a very long time to actually charge up this skill. So keep that in mind. Now I'll tell you what this skill actually does. Increases the entire team's strength by 20% for 10 seconds. If used again, the skill will increase the entire team's defense by 20% for 15 seconds instead, after which the skill will revert to its initial or original effect. So the first time you use this skill for the 8,500 SP cost, you will increase the entire team strength by 20%, but it's only for 10 seconds. And then the next time you use it after that next 8,500, so 8,500 plus 8,500 is going to be what, 17,000? So around there, 17,000 SP. Then you're going to up the team's entire defense by 20%. So same 20%, but this time for 15 seconds. So, and then after which it's just gonna restart, and then you have to do it again. So this skill is very controversial when it comes to Gala Sarisse. Now, it does help the team out when it comes to DPS, but the thing is that it takes so long to charge this skill, which is very unfortunate because it's actually a very good skill. You know, you can have strength and defense up, which both apply in different scenarios, and they can both, you know, like defense up will help you survive, while strength up is just going to help DPS and reach DPS checks, etc. But the thing is that this skill takes so long to charge, which is bad. It takes really long to charge. Other skill 2s that up the entire team's DPS continuously save 5,000 SP to continuously charge the team's DPS, while this one, it's basically every 17,000 SP you charge up the entire team's DPS. And honestly, the strength buff, or the strength buff is good, but the defense up buff is not really useful, especially when it comes to high Midgard Stormer. You don't really need a defense up buff. Sometimes it does work, but in actuality, you don't really need it, especially if you're running with a good Verica who can keep you, you know, upped in health. You're not going to really need a defense up buff at all. So that's really unfortunate. When it comes to her support, that's where I believe her support comes from, that second skill right there. If that was her first skill and I charged really fast, honestly, she might be one of the best units of all time. But unfortunately, it's very slow when it comes to charging, and she's not going to have a real good uptime on that. You're going to charge it once every, you know, 3 times you get your first skill, maybe even, you know, 3.5 times or something. I'm not really sure what the math is, but it's every, you know, every couple times you get that first skill, you get the second skill, which is super unfortunate, honestly. Like I said, when it comes to high Midgard Stormer, you're really going to cycle through that skill maybe twice. You know, maybe 3 times. You might get it 3 times, but that's pushing it. You know, you're going to cycle through it twice probably. You know, depending on how much skill haste you're running, of course. You're going to cycle through it twice, let's just say. Honestly, first skill I would say is very good, but the second skill I would say is bad because it takes so long to charge. But if you're running with proper skill haste, maybe even skill prep with a Marth on your team, then it actually, you know, charges up pretty quickly, and you can cycle through it, like I said, 3 times per high Midgard Stormer match, which is actually very good. So it's a good skill on certain times, but it's very hard to make it actually work. Like I said, you're only going to run through it maybe twice, so on average. Those are her skills. Now let's talk about her abilities. So Gala Sarisse's 3 abilities are, first up, Sylvan Strength. Increases the user's strength by 2% and critical rate by 1% for 15 seconds for every 20 hit combo. This is the skill that balances really well with her first skill, or this is the ability, sorry, which balances really well with her first skill, which ups damage depending on how many buffs you have on her. So this one gives you 2 buffs for every 20 hit combo, and they last 15 seconds, which is actually a pretty long time that they last. This is the reason that she usually has, you know, 4 buffs on her at a time. Now, the buffs themselves are not really too great. You know, ups your strength by 2% and crit rate by 1%. They don't really help too much, but if you start racking them up on each other, like I said, you're really going to only get maybe 2 of them stacked on each other at a time. You know, that's 4% extra strength and 2% extra crit rate, which can help, especially if you're running, you know, an extra crit rate Wormprint or strength worm print. It adds up eventually, and you're getting more damage on your first skill. Now you want to time your first skill to match with this ability so you can get as many buffs as possible off. Like I said, 4 is kind of what you want to aim for. When it comes to High Midgard Stormer, it's actually very easy to get these buffs up because it's easy to get a good combo going on, a hit combo going on him, because he doesn't move that much, and when he does, it just takes a roll or two to get to, in range so that your bow can hit him. Bow does have a very good range that you can actually shoot from, but it comes at a price of sometimes you're going to miss your arrows that hit him. So you want to be a little bit close, but still far away that you're not getting hit by the tail spins, So that's basically what it comes down to. Now, when it comes to soloing content, like say challenge battles, I don't really think this is going to play too big of a part. It might, but honestly, Gala Sarisse is not a unit you want to use for challenge battles. When it comes to it, you want to use melee units, like a blade or a sword. When it comes to those, you don't really want to use Gala Sarisse. Gala Sarisse will not shine in those types of contents. But enough of that. Let's talk about her next ability. It is buff time. Increases duration of buff skills by 30%. Now this is actually very good because it synergizes with her second skill, which is a team-wide buff. Now also her first ability, which is a buff to herself. But let's talk about her first skill first. Now, increases duration of buff skills by 30%. Her first skill, the uptime on the first part is for 10 seconds, and increased by 30% is going to add an extra 3.3 seconds. Let's just say 3 seconds. So that's 13 seconds, and then the second part is 15 seconds, plus 30% is an extra 5 seconds. Let's just say 5 seconds. So 20 seconds and 13 seconds is what her second skill amounts to. Again, it's not going to add too much in the grand scheme of things. That's like an extra hit or two for your entire team getting a hit or two. So it's not going to do too big of a difference, but it does help out, especially when it comes to her ability, which is Sylvan Strength, and her first skill, Brilliant Bolt. So that's going to help keep it up for, like I said, 20 seconds. So you're just going to have an extra 20 seconds to keep those buffs on her and get her skill to deal even more damage. So it is pretty nice to have this buff time on her. If her second skill cycled faster, it would be absolutely insane, but unfortunately it does not. But it is still a very good ability when it comes to her kit. It makes a lot of sense to have a buff time plus on her. So her next ability is Woodland Blessing. Now this reduces susceptibility to stun and sleep by 100%, meaning she can take on High Midgard Stormer without getting stunned, and she can take on sleep res content, which is the Imperial Onslaughts and potential flame raids, raids that require flame adventures in the future. So she is your one-stop go-to for all flame content currently. They may change things with Golemim having burn res, so they may add flame adventures needing burn res for some content in the future, but currently that's not in sight. So she is the best flame adventure when it comes to stun and sleep res, since she does have both of them. You can just invest into her and clear all content that requires those two currently. So of course, when it comes to Imperial Onslaught, you're not going to really need a sleep res unit. You can easily clear with the sun res unit, but in the future, there may be content that requires sleep res that may be even harder than High Midgard Stormers. So it's just planning for the future, really. That's what that is. So that's her kit, and why I think it all synergizes together and works really well. The only downside to her kit, like I said, is her low strength value and her second skill taking so long to charge. If that cycled faster, I think she would be a real force to be reckoned with. But alas, it is what it is. Her first skill is probably the best thing about her, which, adds a lot of hits onto it. And it can actually add, like I said, a lot of extra damage onto that if you can get up to 6 stacks, 7 stacks even. So you get a lot of extra damage on that. That is her kit. Now let's talk about some recommendations that I have for her kit. So you've seen her kit, you've seen what it does. Now my recommendations for it, as for worm prints from left to right, I would recommend Forest Bonds and Jewels of the Sun. So what Forest Bonds does is gives her skill damage plus 40%, which is the maximum amount of skill damage up that you could get. And you get it with just one worm print, which is actually very, very good. Now, getting it all off in one worm print means the second slot you could really use for anything you would want, to be completely honest. Now, my second recommendation, of course, is Jewels of the Sun, but we'll talk about it in a second. So the other ability that the worm print has is Striking Haste plus 12%. Now, of course, you don't want to use 4 strikes too much unless your enemy High Midgard Stormer is in the overdrive bar, so you can break it down a little bit faster. And get some extra skill haste on there. It's not going to help, honestly, too much in the grand scheme of things. The main thing you want that Wyrmprint on is for the extra skill damage, which allows for really nice bursts when it comes to her first skill and how much extra damage you can get on that. Now, the other Wyrmprint I have recommended is Jewels of the Sun, which offers skill haste plus 8%. Skill haste really helps out Gala Sarisse because you want to get that second skill to cycle as quickly as possible so you can up the team's strength. That's the main reason you want that skill to be used. So Jewels of the Sun helps you cycle through that a lot. Some other Wyrmprints that I did not talk about that I recommend, of course, Resounding Rendition is great. Heralds of Hinamoto is also a very good one. There's a couple other ones, but those are the main 4 that I would recommend. Heralds of Hinamoto is a limited print, so it's only available during the Eastern Emissary Summon Showcase, but I just wanted to make mention of that since it's both skill damage and skill haste, while Resounding Rendition is skill damage and crit rate up. So those are my Wyrmprint recommendations. There's a couple good ones other than those, but those are my main ones. Now, as for dragons, you want a strength dragon on Gala Sarisse, really. You don't want a HP dragon or a split dragon. Now, those ones can be useful in content in the future. Say Hybrid Hilda could be used on her for future content, but at the moment, you want a strength dragon on her. Some strength dragons I recommend are the 4-star dragon Ifrit, which is on the left. And as for 5-star dragons, I would say Cerberus would be best for her, which is on the right. If you don't have Cerberus, of course, Agni works just fine, and Prometheus would be a little bit worse than them, but a little bit better than Ifrit, and then Ifrit would be next up. So those are my recommendations. You want a Strength Dragon, and you want Wyrmprints that offer either skill damage or skill haste. So those are my recommendations. Of course, if you have any other recommendations, leave them in the comment section down below, but that's what I think. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking about Gala Sarisse, and as I talk about her, I'm going to be playing in the background a video of a high Midgardsormr clear that I had with Gala Sarisse. This was me using Gala Sarisse, so it is me playing with it, so I can't speak from experience from using her. The best teammates that you could have with Gala Sarisse, I'm going to be talking, like I said, I want to talk about teammates, the weapon that she can use, and overall where I think she ranks in terms of tiers. So teammates I think you want to run with Gala Sarisse. I would say the best teammates to have, she's a support unit which offers your team, higher DPS in terms of strength by upping the entire team's strength. So you want to have really good offensive units behind her. So she can support your offensive units like Marth and Mikoto, even Gala Mim, by giving them a strength increase. Now, I would say Marth is the single best teammate for Gala Sarisse because of his ability, which gives you a full 100% charge on your skills once the initial blast comes in for high Midgardsormr. So she immediately charges all her skills, honestly, all 3 of them, which helps her a ton, like I said, for not only getting that skill to charge and cycle through fast, but getting off her, depending on her weapon, which I'll talk about right now. Weapons I recommend are the 2 5-stars, either the standard 5-star elemental for Flame, which gives her a crit rate up skill, or the 5-star for Void, which gives high Midgardsormr's Bane. Now, if you can max unbind the Void weapon, which gives high Midgardsormr's Bane, I would say that might be a little bit better than the standard 5-star elemental, but if you have any unbinds on the 5-star elemental, then I would say that's better. The 5-star elemental does give her an extra buff, which gives you, like I said, an extra buff onto that first skill, which gives you even more damage, so be sure to keep that in mind. Like I said, Marth is the best teammate. If you don't have Marth, or if your teammates don't have Marth, Mikoto is the next best one. He has insane DPS. Other than that, Gala Mim is great. Vanessa is also great for keeping her alive. Same thing with Gala Mim. They both offer co-abilities that help keep her alive. And as well as Verica. Verica is very good for healing and keeping Gala Sarisse alive because of how many heals she does have. Valentine's Hildegard is also good for healing, but I would say Verica is a little better due to having 3 healing skills, which really helps Sarisse stay alive since she does take a little bit more damage whenever she does get hit. But all of them are good, Valentine's Hildegard and Verica. They're both really good for keeping her alive. And where do I think Gala Sarisse ranks in terms of tiers? I would say Gala Sarisse is the tier right below 1. I wouldn't put her necessarily in tier 1. Now, she could be tier 1 easily. There could be a case made for tier 1, which, honestly, now that I think about it, I would say 1.5. Honestly, I'm not sure if she's necessarily the greatest unit in the game. She's definitely not the greatest unit in the game, but she's a very, very strong unit, and she really helps out the team. Depending on how good your teammates are, of course, their strength is just going to up even more. It's going to get upped even more. So if your teammates are strong, then Gala Sarisse is strong because of her, her second skill. So I would put her, either tier 1 or 2. She's a very strong unit, and she has potential to do amazing things, especially if there's, sleep res content in the future. So she covers both of those, sun res and sleep res content. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If there's any changes you think that I should make to the video, just leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts on Gala Sarisse? Let me know in the comment section down below. You think she's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 even? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I will be making more unit review videos in the future, so if there's something you would like to see changed for these unit review videos, please let me know in the comment section down below. If there's any adventure you want to see me analyze, let me know in the comment section down below. And if there's, like I said, anything else you want to analyze for these units, let me know. If there's any questions you have about Gala Sarisse, please let me know in the comment section down below. If anything in this video changes, I'll try to update the description or say it in the comment section down below. So, check those if there's any changes made. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you enjoyed, also subscribe. If you didn't enjoy, leave a dislike, unsubscribe, whatever you want to do. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.